You can have the best exercise regimen. You can have the best diet. You can even have a pretty decent resting behavior pattern. But if your mental health is not where it needs to be, then all of that is also at jeopardy. Today, we're going to be talking about how mental health can help retain and maintain consistency and resilience. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm happy that you're here for another one of my episodes on my 100-day walk to consistency. We are on day number 67. I want to remind you that consistency is your superpower. Remember, each day that you come, each day that you show up, each day that you are here, you're adding another piece to the puzzle to your consistency. You're becoming more resilient, you're becoming more self-confident, you're becoming more consistent, and that is the key to success. So hey, we're talking about mental health. We're talking about mental health and the importance of emotional well-being in our consistency and in our quest for success. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, all the other things that we do are important. But if our mental health is not where it needs to be, that can put to jeopardy all the things that we've been building. Okay? One of the things I guess I should hop in and say, because you're hearing, right? You're seeing that the things we're talking about are all keystone principles. These are all the things that we need to make sure that we're taking care of if we're going to be successful. And it is not, I'll do this one and not that one. And it's not that we're 100% in all of them, but we are working every day. Everything that we're talking about, everything that we're putting in, we are building so that they become better and better and better. And so we're now able to use those so that we can remain consistent and we can remain healthy and we can have success. So we're talking about why mental health and emotional well-being matter. Why do they matter? So just like the body is the physical vehicle, it's the car, if you will, that takes us somewhere, then our mental health is really the steering wheel. Right? It is what directs us to the various spaces that we're going. It helps us to interpret the world in a certain way. And remember, our interpretation is what gives meaning to the things that we experience. Once we put meaning, then we have feelings about it, and those feelings drive our behavior. Our behavior drive our actions, and our actions drive our results. So you see, at the top of that list, at the top of that cascade, is us having a good mental outlook and having good mental health. And so that's why, one of the reasons why it's important. Also, there's a body-mind connection, right? There's a body-mind connection. Your mind and your body, as we mentioned in an episode, 3-4 episodes ago, there is this amazing connection that goes on between them, that when you take care of one, then the other gets better. When you take care of one, it improves your ability to function in the other realm, okay? What affects your mind affects your body, and what affects your body, for sure, affects the mind. Have you ever been in pain? I remember when I was, maybe 16, probably 15 or 16, I had my wisdom teeth taken out. One set. And the doctor said he didn't want to do them all at the same time. I should have just gone ahead and done them, right? If you've had them, you know, you probably should have done them all at one time, doc. But what I did was I had them take one set out. And y'all, it was painful. I was in high school at the time, and I could not, almost fell there. I could not concentrate because of the pain. Have you ever had a stomach ache or a toothache or a headache and you found it difficult to focus? Right? So that was an example of something physical affecting the mind. And on the other side, have you been, maybe not just feeling so well. Maybe you're a little depressed. Maybe you're anxious. Maybe you're frustrated with something. I'm going to walk down here. I was waiting for the cars to go by. Um, and because of what's going on in your mind, you start to experience things in your body. You start to have aches and pains. You have a nosebleed. You have a twinge here, a tickle there. You're not quite sure, right? So that's a mind-body connection. And it's very, very important. And, we talked about one of the concepts. I said, move a muscle, move a mind, change a mind. Move a muscle, change a thought. Yeah. All of that happens because there's the body-mind connection. And taking care of that is instrumental in us being successful. So that's one of the reasons why it's important. Chronic stress, like anxiety and emotional exhaustion, can lead to... Oh, somebody said I dropped something. Okay, let me go back. See, isn't that cool? So that's why it's important. And chronic stress can lead to anxiety, right? We talked about that. And anxiety leads to increased cortisol. Increased cortisol leads to feelings of jitteriness. So anxiety worsens. Then we can't sleep well. When we don't sleep well, that dysregulates our blood sugars, dysregulates our hunger and satiety hormones. There it is. Isn't that cool? Somebody just randomly driving by and said, "Hey, you dropped something." That's what I love about my town, y'all. Some really nice people here. Not that your town is not that nice either. Okay, so let's see. So exhaustion can lead to anxiety, leads to exhaustion. And exhaustion can lead to fatigue and lack of motivation. So see, notice the cascade again. Because we're anxious, because we're not well rested, then we don't have the drive to do the things that we want to do, that we said we're going to do. Even some of those big rocks that we talked about a couple of episodes ago, where we're putting those priority lists. Well, who cares if I'm exhausted, if my mind is not there, if I'm anxious, right? And so we find ourselves in positions where the things that we say we want to do, we can't do because our mind is not where it needs to be. So poor sleep and low energy can also come from if the mind is not there. Often when I talk to people about poor sleep, there is a question I ask them. I said, do you have difficulty going to sleep or difficulty staying asleep? And once they answer that question, then my question is, okay, when you wake up, for instance, they say, hey, I have difficulty staying asleep. I said, when you wake up, what are you thinking about? They said, well, my mind is racing, right? My mind is racing. Or for people who have difficulty falling asleep, what are you thinking about? Well, I'm problem solving all day, or I'm problem solving from the day before. So all of these things have an impact on our mind and ultimately an impact on our sleep. And then emotional eating and unhealthy habits. Whoa. Coming right down my alley, y'all. Right? Because I'm an emotional eater. Some of you out there as well. I buffer with emotions, with eating. Because food, I think I'll go this way. I was going to go across there, but it's a little too busy right now. Because food is a constant companion that never complains. Like, I've never said to a piece of food, hey, I'm frustrated right now. And the food said, well, you can't eat me right now. Or, I have time for you right now. The food is always there. So the emotional eating is a big component of our mentation. And if we're not doing a good job of taking care of that, then we run into the problem of ended up eating. And so we eat, we put on weight, our blood sugars go up, blood sugar goes up, then we have spikes in our insulin, and then, of course, now all the downstream things that come from insulin. It also causes struggles. If we have poor mentation, struggles to stay consistent with our goals. We have the big rocks. We've created the list. We have created our SMART goals. We've chunked it. We have a schedule. It's on the calendar. We've blocked it, right? We've done all the things. But our brains, our mind isn't there. And if that's the case, then we have to, and then we won't be successful. So once again, keystone principles, they all tie into each other, and there's a domino effect that happens. When you hit one of those dominoes, then that domino affects all the other things that are going on, okay? And so we're off of the road right now, so a little quieter. So taking care of your mental health isn't a luxury, right? I keep saying that for all these keystone principles, we're saying it's not a luxury. It's not, well, I can do it if I want. No, it is a must. It is an absolute. It's a necessity if we're going to be if we're going to have long-term success. Now, here's the thing. There's some of you right now that are watching and will be watching, and some of you who are going through your life and you're thinking, well, I'm not getting good rest and my meditation isn't that great, but I'm successful. And I love that, right? I love that, because you know what that means? That means that you have such capacity that even the things around you, the things that would cause other people to stop and turn around, you have such capacity that you're able to get through it. But here's my question for you. How much more successful would you be? How much more successful would you be if we did the things that took care of ourselves, that took care of our minds, right? That's always my thing. So you're the CFO. Well, maybe you could be president. Maybe you could be the chairman of the board. You've written one book. Maybe you can write 10 books. You are a great musician. Maybe you can play more. Maybe you can do more concerts. Maybe you can do more speeches. Maybe you could, whatever it is. Imagine if we took care of these keystone principles, how much more successful we would be. Love it, love it, love it, right? So it's not that you can't have some measure of success. We're talking about being successful, and we're talking about being successful on a continual basis. Not just today and tomorrow. We're talking about for the rest of our lives. How do we set ourselves up for the best possibility of success? All right? Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some pillars. I'm always talking about some pillars, right? Pillars of health, pillars of mindset. So let's go ahead. You ready? Here we are. So one pillar is emotional awareness. Oh yeah. Emotional awareness. That is being aware of how we feel. One of the exercises that my wife and I did several years ago, we went to a conference. It was a couples conference, and they talked to us about emotions and feelings. And those folks, they had to give us some papers that listed out the emotions. Well, not just me and my wife, but everybody. They're like, because they were like, hey, how do you guys feel? And people came up with like 5 or 6 emotions. And they gave us this piece of paper that had, I don't even know, 30, 40, 50 emotions. I said, wow, are there that many? Right? So being aware of how we feel is a skill. And emotional awareness, an observation. If we are aware of how we're feeling, then we're more able to understand how we interact with the people and the world around us, because we know where we are. One of the things that I've always said to my son is be true to yourself and be true to God. Be true to yourself, be true to God. And we talk about that a lot. And so what do I mean by that? It means that we have to understand ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to like everything about ourselves. Maybe there are some things that we need to address. Maybe there are some things that we need to improve and fix and whatever the phrase is that we want to use. But as I said to you in several episodes before, and I keep saying, I'm going to keep saying it, is that you are adequate. You are appropriate. You are where you need to be. Can you improve? Yes. We all can. Are there some things you can do better? Yes. Are there some things that you probably need to not do? Yes. Are there some behaviors, some habits, some things that you need to correct? Yes. For all of us. but we're sufficient. We're sufficient where we are. And our goal is to be working to get better always. And so emotional observation, emotional awareness says that I've got to know who I am. I got to know what I like. One of the things I'm teaching my son right now, and we talk about relationships, but do you know what the point of dating is? Yeah, what do you think? What the point of dating is? Everybody thinks I'm dating so I can find my husband, find my wife, right? No. The point of dating is to understand yourself. The point of dating is to be able to know who you are, how you interact with other people. And you begin developing that as you have more relationships with people, okay? So learning yourself. Most people either suppress their emotions or they let the emotions go. They let other people control their emotions, or they let their emotions control them. The key is to acknowledge and manage them. It's not that you can't have them. It's not that you shouldn't have them. But you acknowledge that you have the emotion and that I am in control of the emotion, not the emotion in control of me. But in order to do that, you have to first understand the emotion. And then, instead of saying I feel sad, say I'm frustrated because I'm overwhelmed with work. Okay? Instead of saying that I'm upset, I'm frustrated. Say, okay, this situation is causing me to feel, right? Notice, you have to go another step beyond just what the emotion is to understand why you are responding the way you're responding. That takes thought. That takes understanding. That takes knowing yourself. Number two, so we talked emotional awareness, right? Number two, stress management. Control what you can. You can't control everything. Right now, the last several episodes that we've done, I'm out and about, and some pollen is here, and my eyes are watering. I did a discussion a few days ago, and while I was giving the discussion, my throat was, or my voice was croaky. But you know what? Here I am. I'm talking to you. And consistency says, hey, sometimes we have to do in the middle of, okay? We have to do in the middle of. So stress management is, okay, what do I do? How do I manage this? I can't change the situation. I can't control that. I wish I could control this, cut down these trees, but I can't control that. I can control what I do, right? And what I do is I get my camera, and here we are. We're having a conversation. Okay? So yeah, control what you can. Control what you can, because you can't control everything. How do we reduce stress? One, we can journal to process our thoughts. So why do we get stressed? Maybe I should do an episode on just stress itself. Why do we get stressed? We get stressed because we are unable to process it, right? So journaling helps us to process it, helps us to get it out, helps us to process our thoughts, how we feel about it. Exercise to release it. So we burn it off, right? So we keep it in, and it's kind of like a balloon. And you blow the balloon up, and it's good. And you blow it up some more, and it's good. And you blow it up some more, and it's good. And blow it up some more, it's good. And after a while, there's so much stuff in the balloon that it explodes. And so being able to release that somehow is very important. And exercise is an excellent way of doing that. Then deep breathing and mindfulness techniques. Let me see. I don't think I've ever gone around this way. So deep breathing and mindfulness techniques help us become centered. It helps us to understand how we are in relation to what's going on around us. And if we understand how we are in relation, then we're much more able to come up with solutions. Okay? Because it takes some of the subjectivity out of it. Because we know, okay, this is my relationship. Okay, so this is the reason I've never gone around here. It takes some of the subjectivity out of that process, okay? So deep breathing techniques. And then build resilience. Strengthen your mindset. Now, I'm gonna be transparent here, and we've been talking about me, so here we go. This was a hard one for me. As I was coming up, because I didn't grow up in a family where there was a lot of conversation about feelings and thoughts and behaviors and procedures and how to improve those. That was not family, right? You did what you're supposed to do. There wasn't a whole lot of talking, right? And not that our parents didn't love us, but that just wasn't what we do, right? My dad didn't walk up and say, hey son, put his arm around me and start counseling. It was like when there was an issue, we dealt with it, and it was okay. Why did you do that? Well, I didn't understand. Okay, let me explain it to you, so that doesn't happen again, right? But building resilience is all about changing the mindset. And there's often times when our mindset is the issue. It's like, remember I told you guys about the White House, the house with the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and a dog? That was my ideal. That's what I wanted. And it took me a while to realize that maybe the fence is going to be red, or it's going to be black, or it's going to be whatever. And maybe you have a parrot or a cat instead of a dog. And maybe you have 1.5 kids, right? So life is life. We can create the best life we possibly can based on what we do, how we interact with it. But ultimately, what we have is what we're going to have. And we've got to figure out, how do we deal with that? So resilience isn't about avoiding struggle. It's about learning to bounce back from struggle. So it's not getting out of it. It's like, I'm in it. What do I do now? It's kind of like being in the middle of an ocean in a boat that's going down. You could stay there and you could say, man, I wish this boat wasn't going down. Man, why am I on this boat? Why didn't I take the other boat? They told me not to come on this boat. What, right? You could do that, but you know what I'm doing on that boat? I'm trying to figure out I need to survive either until somebody come get me, or I got to figure out a way to get from here to wherever land is. So let's figure out how to get to land. Let's figure out how to elicit help. Right? So resilience. How do we build resilience? Well, number one, we learn from setbacks instead of having those setbacks derail us. And how do we do that? By not dwelling on it. I don't fail. I either learn or I succeed. I think that's a quote. It's Nelson Mandela said that. Okay? So you don't fail. You either succeed or you learn, right? So change the mindset. Shift your focus on what went wrong and what's the next step. So this didn't work, okay? What was it that didn't work? Was it my timing? Was it that this wasn't something that was needed? If it's a product? Is it that people didn't hear about it? Did I not do a good job of marketing it? Did I not have the right resources, the right funding, the right support? What was it that I needed? If it's my health, am I trying to do too much at one time? I remember when I started, I was on the elliptical, and I got up that first day, and I was on there for about 2 hours, which was great, right? It's 2 hours. But you know what happened the next week? Man, I was in so much pain. My body was like, you could do that if you want, but that's not how we roll. You got to ease into this thing, right? So easily I could have said, man, this elliptical is not for me. But it wasn't that the elliptical wasn't for me. It was the procedure that I followed. Okay? So shift your focus. Surround yourself with supportive people. Yo, 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 yo. Supportive people. Community is important. Community is amazing. Your ability to succeed is related to the strength of your community. Let me say it again. Your community, your level of success is related to the community that you're in. And I'm not mean where, people say, well, I come from a bad community, so I moved myself out of that. Yeah, but you created a new community. You got to a space where there are other people around you. Nobody succeeds by themselves. All of us succeed because there is community around us. It may be a community of one or two, but there's a community around us. Somebody helped us at some time along our way. So you want to build, that's the network we talked about. You want to build a community of more people like that. If you got one, let's get two. If you got two, let's get four. If you got four, let's get five. Let's build, continue building. And then self-compassion. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. A lot of people are harder on themselves than anybody would ever be on them, right? We talk to ourselves in ways we would never talk to other people. And we wonder why it is that we are depressed, we have negative self-talk, that we have poor self-confidence. Sometimes it's not from other people, it's from us. Our disbelief in ourselves. We don't have self-confidence. And so that, if we can take care of that, then our resilience goes up. So give yourself some self-compassion. Self-doubt and negative self-talk weaken your ability to be successful. Oh, come on. Right? So when you are constantly pushing negativism, then your ability to be successful goes down in direct relation to how negative you are with yourself and the things that you're telling yourself, right? So you want to replace self-criticism with self-encouragement. Now, I'm not talking about being delusional, right? So there is such a thing as being delusional. But I'm talking about, there are things that you do wrong. Oh yeah, so I do wrong things all the time. As a matter of fact, I do, when I'm processing, when I'm working on something, I fail more than I succeed. And I'm gonna tell you, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. If everything you do works, yeah, you're not trying enough things. You're not shooting harder. You're not shooting higher. So success comes, but there's failure in the middle of the success. And we have to be able to handle those. So replace self-criticism with self-encouragement. Remember, you want to strengthen the inner coach, and you want to take ammunition away from the inner critic. Instead of saying, I'm failing, say, like I said, I am not failing. I'm either succeeding or I am learning. And when you can do that, man, what an important thing for you. All right. Great conversation, right? Am I going to say this is one of my favorite? It is one of my favorite conversations. But we can't ever go without having our challenge. So you got ready? Go ahead and grab your paper, grab your pad, and let's do it. So here today we're talking about strengthening your mental well-being. Okay. So number one, how are you really feeling today? How are you really feeling today? If you go on the internet, you will find lists of feelings and explanations, descriptions of what those feelings mean, right? Go ahead and find one of those lists and go ahead and begin looking through those lists. And I want you to come up with 4 or 5 of those feelings that describe where you are right now, right? How are you really feeling? Not just I'm okay, I'm good, I'm sad, I'm mad. Give me some detailed feelings on what you write those in. And choose and write why you think those feelings are there. Choose one of the mental health, this is number 2, one of the mental health habits that we've talked about. Journaling, mindfulness, stress reduction, right? Choose one of those that you are going to implement in the process of dealing with maybe some of the feelings you're even feeling right now. Okay? So how do I deal with those? How do I get rid of those? Write down one encouraging thought for yourself. Oh, I love this. If you were a friend, or if a friend of yours was struggling with something, with this, whatever it is you are, what would you tell them? What would you say? And then write that out and say it to yourself. Maybe print it out and put it on your wall. Send yourself emails. Put it in an alarm that comes up periodically throughout the day to encourage you. It's very important that you are building your inner coach. Oh, I'm so excited that you are here. This was an amazing conversation. Taking care of our mental health is as important as taking care of our body, and as important as taking care of our schedules. If we do that, then we set ourselves up for the biggest possibility of success. So your mental health and emotional well-being are fundamental and foundational to everything else. If you are taking care of your mental health, if you are doing well in that space, then your potential, your possibility of being successful skyrockets. If we don't, then we're putting all of that in jeopardy. Make sure you join me as we continue our quest for 100 Days to Success. We're walking, we're trying to be consistent. Not trying, but we are consistent. We are on day 69, and we're coming back. We're coming back to day number 70. Each day that you show up, each day that you're here, you're building a better, stronger, more resilient, and more consistent version of yourself. Make sure you're doing the challenges. Make sure you're not just letting these be on the shelf, but they are things that you're doing to maintain success and to be able to go to a next level. Thank you for being here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for Endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We'll see you tomorrow on The Walk for day number 70.